The year is 2025. A young man walks into a bank, and when scanned at the entrance, he is flagged for a prosthetic arm. The clerk apologizes and leads him to the vault, where three boxes rented under the name Attila are unlocked. The moment the clerk turns his back, Attila pulls the heavy metal boxes to the table, unstraps his prosthetic arm, and from inside those very boxes assembles a powerful bionic arm, attaching it to his shoulder in seconds. By the time the clerk realizes something is wrong, it is already too late. Attila throws him aside and tears through the safety deposit boxes one by one until he finds a pouch of precious stones. Security floods in, and though Attila scatters them, he takes serious injuries in the process. He reaches the corridor only to find police blocking his path. He seizes a bank employee as a hostage, locks himself in her office, and when police break through the door, all they find is a hole in the floor. Outside, barely standing, Attila reaches his brother Ader, who has been waiting with a motorcycle. He presses the stolen stones into Ader's hands and begs him to go without him. Realizing he is only slowing his brother down, Attila raises his iron prosthetic, breaks his own neck in a single deliberate movement, and collapses. Ader rides away alone. The story then steps back into memory to introduce Maria Santos, the daughter of a famous athlete, raised from childhood as a long jumper, expected to carry on her family's legacy. But it is her younger sister Gabby who ultimately takes center stage. After losing her leg to a tumor, Gabby receives a bionic prosthesis, and in the world of the 2030s, that changes everything. A bionic revolution has swept the globe, producing prostheses that dramatically enhance performance beyond natural human limits. Gabby becomes a gold medalist almost immediately, and Maria, healthy and trained her entire life, is quietly pushed into the background of her own family's story. Back in the present, police learn that Attila was once a top-rated boxer until bionics arrived and changed the sport. He staged an accident to obtain a bionic prosthesis illegally, was caught, and had his permit revoked. Detectives photograph a skull tattoo on his arm, hoping it will lead somewhere. Meanwhile, Ader meets with his crew and presents the stolen loot, but when their new tech specialist Gus scans the diamonds, the news is disappointing. The stones will barely cover a fraction of the 1 million being demanded by hackers. Ader proposes a bolder plan, pull off another heist, this time using a new bionic he now knows how to build. The operation will require someone on the inside, and so the crew heads to the stadium where Maria trains. Gus, it turns out, is her brother. Maria hears how a tumor ended Gabby's natural career, and how a bionic prosthesis then gave her a second life that surpassed everyone around her. Their father Ricardo had trained one daughter, while their mother worked with the other, and when their mother died unexpectedly, Gus became Maria's closest companion. Now Gus tells her he has joined a group that helps athletes unfairly pushed out of their sports and invites her to be part of it. Maria does not answer right away. Elsewhere, prosthetics manufacturers meet with Ricardo to discuss the upcoming Bionic Games, where Gabby is set to be their star, but only if she breaks a new world record. That same evening, Maria visits Ader's club, where he hints obliquely at self-mutilation as a path to success, obtaining a bionic prosthesis through fraud, the way Attila once did. The idea unsettles her, but does not leave her. That night, she attends a party celebrating Gabby's latest achievement. Standing inside her sister's glittering world, Maria feels invisible. She accuses bionic athletes of abandoning what real sport means. The argument with Gabby turns harsh. Maria storms out, rides her motorcycle into the night with music loud in her ears, and is struck by a car. She wakes in a hospital without her right leg. The detective, meanwhile, has discovered that the skull tattoo on Attila's arm was the emblem of a movement advocating for non-bionic athletes, the right to compete without enhancement. Ader carried the same tattoo. The brothers had stood for that cause together, and now one of them was dead. Gabby begins teaching Maria how to use a prosthesis, forcing her off crutches, making her hop on one leg, rebuilding her confidence from the ground up. A revolutionary chip is implanted in Maria's head that reads every impulse from her cerebral cortex and transmits them directly to the prosthesis. The leg arrives, and Maria begins training with a determination that surprises everyone. Gabby guides her through every technical detail of making the most of the new limb. Ricardo watches with something that looks like pride. But Ader is already building his next operation around her. With Gus's help, he designs a plan to rob an armored truck and needs Maria's speed and power. The detective tails Ader, eventually spots Maria during a training session, and watches as technician Dario shuts her chip off during a power drop. Maria collapses mid-jump, crumpling to the track without warning. Dario explains it plainly. If the display embedded in her wrist reads 0, she falls directly into a coma. Maria files this away. She meets Ader and tries to talk him out of the plan. He refuses. He tells her this is for every athlete whose life was overturned the moment Bionics arrived and rewrote the rules. Maria does not stop him. That night, the armored truck rolls through the city, and when the driver is forced onto a detour by a blocked road, Maria is already waiting. She slams her metal leg into the vehicle's side and flips it over. She lands on the roof, tears open the hatch, and drops in a stun grenade. But when the dazed guards stumble out, Ader appears and kills them. The violence shocks Maria completely. Gus later calls her naive for being surprised. Ader lays out the full plan. A batch of advanced chips is arriving in the city, and by paying the hackers, they will learn the exact location and time. 10 former athletes, unfairly denied bionic access, will receive those chips and get their lives back. Maria wants to accept this. She asks only that Gus keep his distance from Ader. Gus, in turn, admits something long carried. Growing up surrounded entirely by sport and his sister's competition, he always felt like he did not quite belong. The detective keeps closing in. He checks the accident report from the night Maria lost her leg and finds something wrong. The emergency call came in before the accident itself was recorded. He begins to suspect she was a deliberate target. Ricardo tells both daughters they will compete together in the Bionic Games as rivals. Training intensifies. The inspector watches their sessions. When he tries to question Maria, she walks away. Gabby, meanwhile, keeps replaying the recording of the emergency call from Maria's accident. Buried in the background noise, she eventually hears something, Maria's favorite song. She begins to understand what really happened that night. The Bionic Games finally arrive. Gabby takes the track first and lands at 15 meters, confirming her world record. Maria follows and covers 17, shattering it. Their third competitor drops out and only the sisters remain. Gabby responds with 18 meters and the crowd erupts. Maria's second jump pushes past that by 25 centimeters. Ader receives the time and place for the chip delivery. It is almost time. Before the third jump, Dario sees Gabby's chip charge dropping to a dangerous level. He tries to stop her, warns Ricardo and Maria, but Gabby refuses to listen to anyone. She runs, takes off, and falls into the sand. The stadium goes quiet. Gabby is taken to hospital. The doctors say she will survive, but the interface between the chip and her cerebral cortex is permanently destroyed. Maria blames her father. When Gabby wakes, she tells Maria directly she heard her favorite song on that emergency recording. She knows the accident was not random. That same night, Ader's men take Gabby from the hospital. Maria, who had removed her prosthesis before going to sleep, cannot move fast enough to stop them. The next morning, she faces Ader. His real demand: the chips are being delivered to the top floor of a skyscraper, and the only way to reach them is to jump between two buildings across a 25-meter gap. Maria's personal record is 18. His crew doubts her. Ader simply gestures toward where Gabby is being held. Maria runs, soars across the gap, bursts through the neighboring building's glass wall, takes down the guards inside, seizes the case of chips, and makes it down to the garage where a car is waiting. She drives clear, but Dario was on scene and catches her uncovered face on the building's footage. The detective confirms the identification. Maria is not going to walk away from this cleanly. A motorcycle closes in behind her on the road. She stops. The rider stands at her path. She hits the gas. When she steps out to confirm Ader is dead, she finds Gus, broken and bleeding on the asphalt. Ader's voice comes through her phone, mocking. He had been afraid to face her bionic leg himself, so he sent her brother. Maria tries to attack him, but is knocked out. She wakes at Ader's base and overhears him negotiating with a man in a hat, a businessman who wants to use the chips not to give athletes their lives back, but to build a private army of bionic soldiers. Opening the case, they find they have taken far more than 10 chips. Everyone celebrates the unexpected windfall. Ader brings Maria over to admire the haul. She kicks the case across the floor and starts dismantling the room. She works through the crew one by one. Ader is last. He grabs Gabby to stop her. Maria kills him. Police sirens close in from outside. Gabby tells her sister to run. Maria sprints out of the building as the detective and his team give chase, cornering her in the stadium stands. She climbs a barbed wire fence. The detective calls for her to stop. She jumps, catches her prosthesis on the wire, and hangs there. Then she unstraps the leg and drops. Gabby, moving on one leg, reaches a car and pulls her sister away just ahead of the police. In that moment, running together, choosing each other, the years of rivalry between them finally give way to something real. 6 months later, the sisters are fugitives. The detective's official report states the operation was successful. Stolen chips recovered, Ader's gang dismantled. In reality, Maria and Gabby are living quietly somewhere unassuming, running a school for children with disabilities and teaching them that sport can still belong to them. Dario keeps in contact, supplying them with the latest prosthetics. Then one day they sit across from Ader's former business partner, the man in the hat. He still wants his bionic force. The sisters tell him he does not need an army. He needs 3 exceptional soldiers. On cue, Gus steps out of a waiting car. He is alive. New technology has not only rebuilt him but enhanced him. He can now predict an opponent's next move before it happens, his reaction time something beyond human measure. The man in the hat watches, considers, and signs the contract. The three of them will work together, and together they intend to make it count.